Hey Haunties. So if you don't know, I've been reading tarot for like, since I was like 14, 12. Whenever I entered the teens, sometime around then. So a long time. So let's talk about it. A lot of people will tell you that you have to be given cards, tarot cards, as a gift in order for them to be like valid or to be able to use them or something. That's just like a myth. Like, I don't know who said that, but like, they're what I like to call stupid. There's no reason that anyone has to get you them. I think that personally, like, me selecting a deck is going to be more of a solidifier of our relationship between me and the cards than someone else picking it out for me. Because you think about it, like, you're the one who sees them, you're the one who's like kind of feeling the energy towards it, you're feeling the pull, like that's gonna make more sense. My first deck I bought with my own money whenever I was young. Time is an illusion. I bought it myself, and I used it for a long time. I used it pretty much for like a big chunk of high school too, to read cheerleaders for money. It was like a thing I did. A lot of people also tell you to put your tarot deck under your pillow and sleep with it for like a week or like 3 days or however long you want to sort of like build a relationship with your cards. I don't do that because I don't like to sleep with things under my pillows. You know, if you want to do that, that's perfectly fine, but I don't. What I do is I take the cards. So I'll take my cards when I first get them and I'll have them all spread out, like, you know, like completely out so their backs are facing the sun, and I'll leave them in the sun for like an hour. And then I'll take them out of the sun and then I'll leave them in the moon, the light of the moon, for like an hour. And then I take a crystal. It just depends on like what I'm feeling at the time. I've been using this one a lot for my decks recently. It's just this quartz. Yeah, it's cute. It's cute. And I set that on the top of the deck for as long as I feel, for at least like a week. That way you're cleansing the cards of any past negativity or any past energy with the sun, and also charging it with the sun. And you're doing the same thing with the moon, and then you're kind of infusing the energy of the crystal into the deck. And then every time you use it, it's just gonna, you know, get stronger with your own energy. Does that make sense? So depending on how often you're reading, if you're reading other people, or if you feel like your readings are just getting a little cloudy, instead of having to re-cleanse them in the sun or something, I take the deck and I knock on it 3 times and then I blow on the other side, and what that does is it knocks out like any cluttered energy, and then you infuse it again with your own breath, your own energy, and then you're good to go. So when it comes to memorizing tarot cards, honestly, I was really bad at this for a really long time. I still use my book, honestly. Like, I'll use different references. I'll use my book if I need like a little extra like zhuzh to what I'm saying. I do things intuitively, but then I like to have that little you know, like a little extra dash. People will tell you that you don't have to start a tarot journal. I didn't have one until this year actually, and I found that having that journal for me has worked out a lot better, because every time I do a reading, the card meanings aren't always the same. It allows me to have like a base meaning that I've sort of come up with my other books and references and stuff over the years, but also to be able to add whatever like intuitive tidbits I pick up throughout readings over time. And I have it just like in like a Word program in my computer, and anytime I do a reading, I just add little bits that I think are kind of like interesting or important to that, and it really helps. When it comes to decks, you can have a million decks, you can have one deck, you can have decks used for specific things, you can use the same deck for everything. It doesn't really matter, it's all up to you. I have a lot of decks, so what I've been able to find that still has their boxes are these. This is 6. There's 6 here. So this is actually the first deck that I got. It's really good if you're a beginner, but I really haven't used this since I moved out of my apartment when I was 19. For me, I'm very like aesthetic, so aesthetically for a long period of time a deck can like please me, and then it won't for a long time, and I go through phases, and that's perfectly fine. Everyone is different, everyone does their own thing, it's all personal, whatever. It's not personal, it's drag. I got this deck when I was 16. I actually like still use it to this day. It's actually, I think it's my favorite deck because I love the way the back of the cards look, and I feel like this deck, you know, some decks in my experience are good for specific things. Like some decks are really good for love, some decks are really good for work, so on, etc. All that. This deck has worked for every situation under this entire universe, and I use this a lot when I read clients, but this deck knows me, this deck gets me, this is my favorite deck. I got this deck when I lived in my apartment. It's the Revelations Tarot. I got it because I like the aesthetic of the cards. The cards are very like, ooh, it's so shiny, but the cards are so like stained glass windowy, and I thought that was really cool. I got the Thoth deck like a year and a half ago. I've used it a little bit, but it is different from tarot because there are extra cards and some cards have their names changed, and you do need to get the Thoth companion book with it, which didn't come with this pack. I got this deck the end of April. I ordered it in like February, so I'm not going to list the guy that sold me it because this deck is kind of rare now. I'm not going to link the guy that I bought it from because he's an antiquity store in like Japan, but he kind of, it was really sketchy. The whole process was really sketchy. But anyways, I recently just got this deck. I've been working with it a lot more, and if you bought my September zine, you would know that there's a tarot interview between me and this deck. I've been really excited with it because like I love watercolor-esque things. It's very aesthetically pleasing. Again, I'm very aesthetic. Oh, also, the companion book is in Japanese. There's no translation I found online. So if you don't speak Japanese and you want this to be English or whatever you speak, that could be an issue for you, but it's not for me. I don't care. This is obviously from Card Captors, and if you don't know, you can turn basically anything into a tarot deck. Playing cards, literally you can do Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, I'm pretty sure you can do Magic cards. I never played Magic. This deck is so pretty, it's pink, and I love it, and my only issue with it is that because it's a different type of deck, it's more so like a mixture between tarot and oracle. It has a very specific companion manual with it. However, that manual is also in Japanese, and the English translations of it online are very roughly translated, so it's very vague. So I've only used it a couple times, and it's really hard to kind of pinpoint what the meanings of the cards are. I have many decks. I use them all for different things. I go through phases where I use maybe just one, and then I use a different one, or you can even use multiple decks at the same time depending on what you're comfortable with. And all the books that I've found on tarot spreads, they aren't really that informative for me, or at least the ones that I've gotten. So I just kind of stick to the ones that I have, and I make up spreads. Anyone can make up a spread, you can make up a spread. I actually sell like a love reading spread that I made up in high school in the middle of art class. I strongly encourage that you get a tarot deck. It's been a huge practice in my life, a huge chunk of my life, and it's just always been there, and it really helps you figure out things. It's a reflection of who you are, and it shows you varying paths that you can take, and you can decide to continue on those paths or you can change them. It's really just good for everything, and I love it, and you should love it too. If you have any tarot related questions, you can leave them down below with any other good comments. Don't be a hater, be a hauntie. You can find me at most places at Popgoth with an _, and on Tumblr at Holographic Goth. And if you like this video and you want to support me, make sure to like this video and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can just keep getting more of me. And that's pretty much it. I'll see you next time. Bye!